What's up, gamer? My name is Luco, and today I'm going to show you my first impressions of Path of Exile 2's patch 0.3.1, otherwise known as the patch that killed towers and totally reshaped PoE2's Endgame. The first and most prevalent change is the removal of the ability to use Precursor tablets in the towers that are strewn across the atlas. Instead of pathing from tower to tower to buff up your other maps using the tablets, you now just throw the tablets you want to use into the map device with the waystone you want to use. The map that gets opened will benefit from them. I've only run a handful of maps in the new patch so far, but the impact of that change could be felt immediately. To get the most out of your maps, you no longer need to be constantly searching for towers and trying to find where they overlap and then path over to them and use the right tablets and all that. You can just pick an area or a direction you want to run in on your atlas and go. It made mapping feel much more comfy, and I'm a huge fan of the change. There's one other thing I'd like to point out about the whole tablet business, and that's the UI for adding tablets to your map device when you're using a waystone. First of all, we have these 3 slots in the main map device area, and the tablets don't go in any of them. They go in the 3 new slots down here. That's a little confusing, but that's not the main point I want to get at. The main thing is actually something positive. When you click on a node in the atlas, the map device opens up, and with no waystones in there, all 3 of the tablet slots are locked. When you put a waystone into the map device, it unlocks the first slot, then checks the amount of modifiers on the waystone to determine how many other slots to unlock. 3 modifiers get you the second slot, and 6 modifiers get you the third slot. The way it works is pretty simple, but it has a detail that's pretty easy to miss, and that detail makes the UI much easier to work with than it otherwise could have been. The detail is that you can add and remove tablets while the slots are locked, so you don't need to throw a 6 mod waystone into the map device every time that you want to change out one of your tablets. My first thought after seeing a tablet in a locked slot was to be immensely annoyed at the idea of being unable to retrieve it without a waystone, but thankfully you can just add or remove them whenever you want, no matter what. As for the maps themselves, another major change in the patch was the addition of map bosses to every single map. You no longer need to chase down every rare monster in the zone to complete a map, you just need to find and beat the boss. It's a much more straightforward system, and it allows you to complete maps and move through your atlas much faster than you were able to before if you just rush the boss and leave. While I was checking out the update, I found myself spending much less time staring at the minimap looking for rares, and more time focused on whatever was going on around me in the game. It's another really positive change, and I'm glad they made it. My one complaint about the new system is that some of the bosses have really long spawning and dying animations that get old really quickly. Whether they abridge the animations or skip them entirely somehow, I really hope GGG does something to reduce the amount of waiting that each boss makes us do now that we run into them in every single map. Another major change was that they removed the majority of the pins above each node on the atlas to show which content is in each map. Instead of having a predetermined selection of content, each map now randomly decides which types of content to add when you open it. Any type of content you choose to add via tablet will be included in the map, then the game will randomly choose anywhere from 1 to 3 additional types of content to add afterwards. I'm okay with this change because it means we don't have to chase down the nodes with tons of pins over them to make sure we get juicy maps, and we can find them anywhere, but I do have one problem with it. The problem is that I am probably Ritual's biggest hater, and now I can no longer reliably prevent it from spawning in my maps. If GGG adds the ability to block different kinds of content from spawning in maps like we have in Path of Exile 1, I'll be much more happy with this change. I'll also probably never see Ritual again, or as Merry Spirits for that matter. The last thing I want to highlight is the way that Orbs of Alchemy got reworked. They used to turn a normal item with no modifiers into a rare item with 4 random modifiers. As of this update, they can be used on magic items too. If you use an Orb of Alchemy on a magic item that already has modifiers, it will still turn the item into a rare one with 4 random modifiers. Any modifiers that were already present will get overwritten with entirely new ones. This change gives alchemy orbs much more utility, since you can use them to overwrite failed transmutation and augmentation orbs on anything from potential gear upgrades to maps that rolled bad modifiers you don't want to run. They're still not the most useful crafting materials, since they do still add 4 entirely random modifiers to whatever they're used on, but at the very least I'll be using them on my maps much more often than I ever did previously. There were lots of other changes made to the game with this update, but those were the things that stood out to me the most, and those were my thoughts on them. Well, what were your thoughts? If you have strong feelings one way or another about anything in this update, feel free to let me know in the comments. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more like it. Lastly, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.